Hello, friends. Today we're going to start a new um, assignment that has to do with the Blank Park Zoo. Unfortunately, we were unable to go on our field trip to the Blank Park Zoo. So, Mrs. Even has found a mini tour of what we would have seen at the Blank Park Zoo. Once you have went on the tour with the guide, then you are going to be instructed on what your assignment is going to be to go along with this activity. Keep in mind the animals that you see and the habitat that these animals live in, because that will help you when it comes time for you to create your own habitat. So let's watch as the curator takes us on a tour of part of the Blank Park Zoo.
Welcome to the Blank Park Zoo's Discovery Center. This is one of the first exhibits that you'll find when you walk into the zoo. My name's Chad Comer. I'm an animal curator. Let's go for a walk. When you're entering the Discovery Center and you exit out through the cabin, you're actually entering into an alpine or a mountain area, which simulates what it might feel like to be in the mountains. There's also cool air blowing through. There's lots of different alpine trees. Right now you're entering the free flight portion of the Discovery Center where all of our birds fly. The big thing about this part of the exhibit is you really have to take your time coming through this area. If you're going to take your time and look around, you're going to see a lot of species of birds that are very colorful, active, that are flying around, that are on the ground, that are hanging out in trees. We've got about 9 different species of birds that live in this area. To add to it, we also have lots of plant varieties. Tons of different plants, from bamboo to ficus to palms to many flowering species that really enhance the exhibit of these animals that live here. One of the funnest parts of the building for kids as well as adults and sometimes the keepers is the swinging rope bridge. So you're walking across it playing a little Indiana Jones perhaps. The key is don't fall. The kids don't, usually the keepers do. You're looking right now at the giant Madagascar day gecko. It's a pretty cool animal that can go right straight up a sheer wall. They have the unbelievable ability to grab onto flat surfaces with their feet. They're also an animal that if a predator goes to grab their tail, it'll fall off. So it's pretty amazing how they can adapt to survival in the wild. And if you turn this way, you'll actually see what's called our quiet pool, which we have a couple different species of turtles, which are usually swimming around in here. It's not quite feeding time, but you can see a couple on the rocks. You can see a few in the water, but they do make their way all over the exhibit, and they swim around quite frequently, and it's a good spot for kids to come and watch and enjoy all the different animals, and once in a while you'll get a few birds hanging around near the water. Right now we're entering the Gouldian finch exhibit here in the Discovery Center. We've got about between 40 and 50 Gouldian finches that fly around in this big exhibit here. It's actually sectioned off from the rest of the zoo. You can see a ton of them up here, just chewing on the leaves, getting ready for maybe a winter molt or something like that. We feed them lots of seed, lots of a soft bill pellet. It's called a passerine pellet. We soak it with water to make it easier for them to eat because they're smaller birds. What we've done here is we've got these guys used to landing on keepers' hands as far as eating seed. This is actually a millet sprig. You may not be able to see it because we have so many birds on them right now. But what we'll do is we'll do specialized VIP tours, birthday events and things like that. We don't make this a daily occurrence because there's too much activity going on as far as the human traffic as well as all the birds going through here. This is the two-toed sloth exhibit. There's also a three-toed sloth variety. We have the two-toed sloth. This is 2 females that we have in here, and this is also going to be the future exhibit of our golden-headed lion tamarins, who will be on exhibit within the next couple of months. Right now you're entering into the water lab portion of our exhibit, which is full of saltwater fish, as well as different types of amphibians from South America and North America. Right here we're looking at one of our newest exhibits here at the Blank Park Zoo. It's the long-snout seahorses. We have 6 males and 6 females in here. So when you get to come into the water lab, go ahead and spend some time because you're going to see a lot of different variety of species of animals, as well as different habitats. So it's a really fun room to come into with your kids. There's a movie that it's always playing. And there's lots of conservation messages that come across with this room as well. The dwarf caiman are actually located here in South America. They're a pretty fun exhibit to watch. We feed them twice a week. We feed them mice as well as different types of fish. So that sometimes they're sitting there a lot, but the reason they're sitting there is because in the wild, they'd be waiting for animals to come up by them so they could eat them. If we transition over this way, we'll actually see some South American fish. We have some pacu, as well as a red-tailed catfish who likes to hide straight down underneath this log. So if you get lucky enough to get right in this area and look straight down, sometimes you'll see some of the fins. And when we feed 2 different times a day, he likes to come up and he eats in different areas. Right now you're looking at our jellyfish exhibit, which is a sphere. So when you look through it, it actually changes the way you look at stuff. The animals in here are between 1 to 2 years old. All these animals were born here in a grow-out system that we have that our senior aquarist Kirk Emery grows out for us. We also supply other zoos with some of these jellyfish as well. A lot of the fish that are in here would be Southeast Pacific fish, or South Pacific fish. So you're going to get a lot of color and variety of animals that are in this exhibit. It's pretty fun to watch. If you sit here for a while, there's benches around here. There's also different viewing ports for young children to look at. A fun fact about macaws is their beaks are incredibly powerful. They can use them to climb, crack nuts, tear apart trees, and one other good fact, macaws are also right-handed and left-handed, right-footed and left-footed. So when you see a macaw picking something up with his foot, typically it's because he's that dominant-footed, like we are right-handed and left-handed.
Okay, now wasn't that interesting? I want you to think about the animals that we saw in our video of the Blank Park Zoo. What did the habitats look like? And think about the animals that lived in each of those habitats. What special features did they have? Did they have special feathers or fur? Did they have feet that were shaped differently, beaks that were a little bit different? What made it so they could survive in their individual habitats? Now, you're going to choose a habitat. You can do this in many different ways. If you want, you can just choose your backyard habitat and think about the animals that live back there. If you want to choose a forest habitat or an ocean habitat or a desert habitat, you can do some research on your computer and find out what animals live in each of those habitats. And then you're going to figure out how you can teach us about your habitat and the animals that live there. You can do that by making, just drawing a picture. You can use that by making a diorama, a 3D representation. You can make a Lego representation of it. You could write out a report. You could do a slideshow. Remember the animal report slideshows we did? On this paper here, or on this part of our presentation, I have the things that you have to include in your representation of your habitat. You need to show where the animal lives, who are the family members, what it eats, who's its prey, what does it go after, and what animal is a predator to this animal. What special features does your animal have to help it survive in its own habitat? Guys, there's no right or wrong answer on this one. The only thing that, or there's no wrong answer, I should say. The only way it's wrong is if you don't do it. So enjoy yourself, have fun, and try to figure out how you are going to represent your animal. Now, I have this paw print here, and that is to remember you need to research your favorite animal.